Hello, Kathy, Luz, Connie, Christine, Ellie, Rebecca, Trisha, Kayla, Alyssa, Alicia, and Jasmine. Thank you for another great week of conversation during week 2 in the discussion forum. I appreciate all of your comments, insights, and interactions. A couple of things. I appreciate that all of you recognize that there are basically 2 different areas of expertise that are necessary for a project manager to master in order to be successful. On the one hand, there is that domain of knowledge that is specific to project management. So being able to write a project management plan, being able to write a good scope, doing cost estimates, doing risk analysis and risk management plans, those specific skills for project management. And then and that specific knowledge of being able to do those things, being able to knowing the processes, right? Knowing initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, closing, and knowing what those are and being able to perform those processes in an effective way. That is much more likely to make a project successful than just winging it without a plan and a process. So there's that specific domain knowledge that a project manager needs. But also, as all of you pointed out, a project manager needs a lot of interpersonal skills. They need communication skills. They need to be good at conflict resolution. They need to be able to connect with people and build relationships. They need to be inspiring and to be able to get a team all on the same page in order to accomplish goals. So it's those two sets of skills that a project manager really needs. That second set of skills, really any leader or manager would need those skills to be able to accomplish goals in a business or a nonprofit or a governmental organization. But it's that first set. It's those project management specific items, so that specific kind of knowledge that we're really focusing on in this class. That kind of process and procedure. And so when Samantha comes into the Global Green Books publishing world, it's both of those sets of skills that really serve her well. As several of you pointed out, Alyssa lifted up, that her interpersonal skills, her innate interpersonal skills enabled Samantha to be successful. And that's true. That's it's a big part of what enabled her to move the company from pretty much failing into a more successful note. But one thing that I would like to lift up is, yes, it's true. Some people do have innate interpersonal skills. They're just happy to be around people. They're good conversationalists. They just enjoy being with people. They have that ability. It's part of their personality. I would also say that those skills can be learned. Even those of us who are more introverted, who don't really have the gift of gab, who don't have that innate skill of empathy and reaching out to people, we can learn. We can learn. Those skills can be learned. We can learn to be better at them, and we could learn to be more effective in our interpersonal relationships. This is demonstrably true. So if you're like me and you're a little bit more on the introverted side and you're like, that interpersonal stuff, that's not really my thing, it can be. It can be. We can get better at these things. And if you're going to be in leadership, if you're going to be in management, if you're going to be a project manager, it will serve you well to learn some of those skills. It's true that Samantha was successful because of those interpersonal skills, but I would say even more so, it was because of the skills that she had in the project management domain, that she was able to create a plan, that she was able to create this manual so that other people in the organization could see how to do things. She was able to train employees so that they would all be on the same page and know what the goals were and what the deadlines were and what the procedures were. That's what a project manager does. And as we move through this course, you'll see that the planning is really the big part of it. It might seem intuitively like executing would be the most important phase. That's when the project actually gets done. That's when the product is produced. That's when the services are delivered. But the planning, having everything in place and having a plan that estimates the cost, that analyzes the risks, that puts a firm schedule in place, that motivates the people that need to get things done, that is the key work of the project manager. And so out of our 6-week course, we will spend the next 2 weeks working on the project management plan. It's a lot of work. Please don't be afraid to reach out to me and ask for information that is not immediately obvious in the material that you have. This will take some time, but project management is working a project management plan and working through it is an iterative process. And what that means is that it's not just done once and then finished, but you go through the planning process, you go through the cost estimation process, you go through the resource analysis process, and then a little further down the road you might be, oh, you know what, we need some more resources. So you go back and you change it and you add those resources. So as you work through your project management plan over the next 2 weeks, things will not be perfect the first time around. The scope will probably not be perfect after this week of work, but you can go back and make some adjustments for the following week, and that will be reflected in your feedback and your grade. Because that's the way that it works in the real world, right? That we don't just do something, we don't just create a plan, boom, I sat here for 17 hours and created a project management plan, and it's done. No, as things progress, as even the executing phase begins, modifications can and often have to be made. That's the way, that's the way that it works in the real world, and that's the way that it will work in this class. We're trying to make this project, this fictional project, feel like the way it would be in the real world as much as we can in this context. So again, please feel free to reach out to me. All of you are doing a great job. I appreciate your comments, your insights, your interaction, and I look forward to more conversations in week 3. Take care.